Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Rohit. I am a co-founder at iDream Education, and we are a social education technology organization working with schools, CSR, NGOs to deliver tablet, mobile, and smart classroom-based digital learning solutions. Now, without giving too much introduction or too much information about what we do, perhaps we can talk about that during the later stages of this workshop. What I would want to take you through is two stories, right? So, two simple stories from the experience that we have had of implementing digital learning solutions in government schools across the countries. And using these two stories, we will try to come up with certain points or elements which I believe every organization, especially those who wish to implement a digital learning solution, should consider while setting up a program design or implementing a program to achieve the desired learning outcomes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and then take you guys through these two very distinct but very interesting stories from two different parts of the country. I would just need a heads up from someone in the audience if you guys can see my screen. Okay, I believe you can, right? Okay, so I would want to take you back to March 2020 when the COVID had just stuck and the entire education ecosystem was struggling with the question of how to ensure continuity in students' learning. The first lockdown was announced, schools were closed, and people, especially in the government ecosystem, the biggest fear was that if we are if we would not be able to ensure continuity in education, the learning gaps, which anyways we all know exist widely in our government schools, will even further widen up. So till that time, in fact, till 2020, uh, us at iDream Education were also working purely on solutions which we were implementing inside the schools. So we used to set up a smart classroom inside the schools. We had a tablet or a tablet-based digital library solution like a smart ICT lab that also we used to set up inside the schools. So the question even inside us was that what about our organization's existence? If all of our solutions are existing inside the schools, students are not coming to the schools, we don't know for how long, how can we really take our solutions outside the schools to the students' home and ensure continuity in learning? I remember those times when we used to receive so many phone calls from the teachers around the country, and they used to tell us, Rohit, do something. Let's think of something. How can we take the learning to the students' homes? Uh, and this was the question which was not just bothering us, but even the governments, state governments across the country. So yes, in different phases, a lot of discussions started happening about let's do online learning. And in different pockets, just as a very quick and alternate solution, online learning was introduced. But it faced with two very important challenges. Number one, continuous internet at that time was a huge challenge, right? Even in those areas which had access to internet, they did not have very regular or continuous access to good quality internet. Second, majority homes did not have a smartphone at their homes. And even those homes that they had, the students could not get access to those smart devices because their parents used to mostly access those, or when they used to go out of home for some work, they used to carry those devices with themselves. So during the active learning hours where the teachers or schools are active, the students don't have access to the smartphones or devices. And even in those cases where they had, they did not really have access to good internet to be able to ensure continuity in learning. Right? So it was during that time that we had a very nice discussion and collaboration with a Bombay-based organization called Cipla Foundation. Right? Cipla Foundation said that they came forward and said that, hey, we want to provide something to class 10 students in three states of our country. so that they're able to ensure continuity in their learning. So they said, at that time we already had an application, learning application that could work offline and it could work on Android based devices. So we said, well, it's very easy. We can preload those tablets using an SD card. We give them all the content offline. We activate the application offline, and students will have their own devices sitting at home, and they will have no internet dependence. Right? The program was rolled out. It was very quick rollout without much discussion. We said we have the right solution. The Cipla Foundation said go ahead and start implementing it, and we reached out to about more than 10,000 students in these three states in phase one who were handed over the tablet. These were all class 10 students. So immediately we solved two problems. One, the student now had continuous access to a device of their own, so there was no dependence on their parents. Second, everything worked offline, so there was no internet dependence as well. Right? So two immediate problems were solved, and on these tablets, we had given these students Maharashtra or in whichever state we worked, that they were given state board aligned content in local language as well as in English medium. Right? So students could actually just wherever they had left off from their school, they could continue their learning sitting at home in their local language as per their state board curriculum at the comfort and safety of their home anytime, anywhere. Right? But as the program rolled out, Cipla Foundation asked us, so these are some of the pictures of students using the tablets at home. So as the program rolled out, Cipla Foundation asked us, hey, okay, we have given tablets to the students, but teachers are completely out of the ecosystem. How do we bring teachers also into the loop? How do we ensure that whatever students are doing at home, teachers are regularly updated? So again, we had a very ready to use solution. It was called iPrep Coach application. It was given to the teachers and installed on their mobile devices. And the iPrep Coach app is designed in a way so that you can actually connect with your students virtually. So you create a virtual badge inside the coach application. You send out a link to the students. Students join the application and then they get connected to you. Now, once that connection establishes, teachers can assign homework to the students. Teachers can see report of every activity which a child is doing on their individual tablets, right? And basis the internet availability, teachers can also chat with the students and resolve their doubts. So again, Cipla came up with a problem. They said, bring teachers into the loop. We said, okay, fine. A quick solution was implemented, and teachers are also now part of the ecosystem, wherein teachers are also continuously monitoring the activity of the students on their individual devices. Right? However, you know, so overall, while the program was being implemented, what did we achieve? Right, we were able to see that students are actually able to learn, start using the devices. They were on the days that they were learning, they were using the tablets for about 20 to 25 minutes per day. And if I take the entire month as a picture, they were using it for between 10 to 12 days in a month, which was good. I won't say it was excellent. It was good. Why? Because prior to this, they were not doing anything at all. There was no learning mechanism for them. And once this implementation was done, we realized that some learning, some usage of it has started happening. And one of the stories that really touched our hearts was that of a boy named Shadaf. So while we were working with Cipla Foundation, one of the schools in which we implemented the solution was a special school for deaf and dumb students, and about 50 students from the school were given tablets, the same offline learning tablets with content in Marathi medium. And Shadaf was one boy whose transformation was almost magical. He had started learning through our device, and in the course of 1 year that he used the device, I'm very happy to say that he was actually inducted and made a part of a formal school. Right? The data which you are seeing on the bottom of the slide is just from one of the schools to showcase that there were 33 students in that school, out of which 30 on a month-on-month we were able to see 30 active users, right? And all of these 30 active users on an average were using the devices for about 17 hours, 17 days in a month. And every time they picked up the device, they could actually use it for about 26 minutes. I want to play a very quick video of Shadaf here just to show you how a program, the way it was implemented, was able to improve the life of Shadaf, right? So just a very, very small 1 minute video, and I'm going to play you that. Right. So perhaps one of the most heartening story that we have experienced from all the work that we have done over so many years. Now, while all of it which is happening, which I have shown you so far, would look very interesting, would look very, maybe perhaps you can say that good work done. However, at the end of the program implementation, CIPLA asked us one question. They said, "What about the learning outcomes?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" We really had no answer. We had not done any kind of baseline assessment. In fact, in the product itself, we had made absolutely no provision through which we could conduct assessment of the students. And given the condition that existed at that point in time, most of the students were very remote. They were not coming to the school, and it was absolutely difficult for us to, even gather them at one place and conduct their assessments. So everything which you saw just so far, all the good work, but it came down to just one question: what was the learning outcome? Even though we could perhaps share one important aspect with them, that all the students of class 10th who were handed over the tablets that year, all of them cleared their class 10th examination. But we had no way to really quantify that. Right? We had no baseline data, and we had no midline or endline data to really show uh, how uh, how much the learning outcomes had improved over the period of the intervention. So what went wrong? Why we could not show the learning outcome data? I believe fundamentally, when we reflected back on our journey with CIPLA Foundation, we realized that we never really asked the right question at the beginning. They said, solve this, we went ahead and solved that. They said, bring the teachers, we quickly went ahead and brought the teachers into the loop. But while we were solving the immediate concern, no one, especially us, was looking at the long-term picture, right? So engagement is fine, but eventually what matters is how much a student has learned. And while we had some bits and pieces of data to show that, okay, see, students are learning at home, they are spending X amount of time at home, but how much are they really learning is something we were really taken aback when CIPLA asked us this question. We were even taken for a surprise because we never expected that CIPLA Foundation would ask this question, but it was a fundamental question, perhaps that every funding organization is asking today. Right? Perhaps 4 years ago, a lot of discussion used to be around engagement, access, reach, but now times have changed, especially after COVID, where people are beginning to talk a lot about data in terms of learning outcomes. Right? So we completely messed this up, even though it looked like some good work done, students are learning at home, but when it comes to learning outcomes, we had absolutely nothing to show. How did we correct it? Right. So to show you that, I want to now take you to from the mainstream states to a very, very remote state of our country called Meghalaya, right? Now, Meghalaya is a very, very peculiar state, very, very interesting state. Why? Because firstly, the district, especially the district where we decided to work, was predominantly a coal mining district. So everybody in that district either owns a coal mine or works in a coal mine, right? They have not really seen the world outside of a coal mine. They don't understand the world outside of a coal mine, right? So parents, that the current generation of parents literally have absolutely no understanding of what kind of career options even exist beyond a coal mine, right? They either work in the coal mine or max now that they started working is in the tourism industry, right? Second, and perhaps the most interesting aspect about Meghalaya is that the entire education ecosystem is built on English medium. So textbooks are in English medium, exams are supposed to happen in English medium, teachers are supposed to teach in English medium, students are supposed to learn in English medium. Only thing that nobody understands English, and it was a it was the biggest paradox when I personally had gone to the state and I saw everything is in English medium, but teachers, students, even class 10, class 11 students we spoke with were not able to understand, comprehend even simple basic English words. Right. So to go to a state like this, and we meet the district commissioner in the state who says that you guys have to solve this problem for us, figure a way out to address the learning gap, and they built a project and they called it Project Kalavai. Kalavai means the future. So they wanted to, uh, you know, the district commission especially wanted to figure a way out to improve the current situation in the state of Meghalaya. But this time, we did not make the same mistake that we did in the Cipla Foundation project, right? We said, we could have actually immediately started implementing a solution saying, कि हमारे पास, this is a solution we already have, let's start implementing it and then see how it goes. But no, this time we took a step back. We said, let's plan it out. Let's ask the right questions with all the stakeholders. So I personally, along with my team, we spent more than 1.5 months, more than 45 days in the state of Meghalaya, and we spoke to teachers, we spoke to students, we spoke to parents, we spoke to education department, we spoke with all the officials in the district office, and we laid down four very clear objectives of this implementation. First was that we wanted to empower. First was we realized that if at all this program has to be a success, the teachers need to be empowered, right? The teachers need to be empowered with a solution which is absolutely easy to use and something which could supplement their classroom teaching. They should not feel like, oh, you're giving me an additional burden, right? Teachers in Meghalaya are they are from an age group of, I would say, mid-age to old age, right? Some young teachers are also coming in, but teachers are of an opinion that they're not very used to using technology in the school. Rest of the states in our country have still been exposed to digital learning. Meghalaya is one state which has been completely aloof to digital learning. So this, what we were trying to do with them, would have been their first ever experience of using digital learning inside the classroom. So fundamentally, it had to be very, very, very easy, right? Second objective was that the district officials said, and the education department also said, although they had no data to really prove that, but they said that our students have significant learning gaps. Our class 10th pass percentage is very, very low. Even the students who are passing class 10 examination, they're barely passing. The average marks of class 10 are between 33 to 40 marks, which is very, very low, right? And we could say obviously, because everything is in English medium, students are not proficient in English medium. So how do we expect them to write exams in English medium, right? Third objective, very, very important, was that how do we enable parents and students to understand that there could be an end game to education beyond just working in the coal mines, right? And fourth, which actually was fundamental, because if you had to achieve the above three, we had to find a way to improve the English comprehension level of students as well as of the teachers. Teachers, I would still say, while I interacted with a lot of teachers, maybe about 60% of teachers could still understand English while they were talking to us. But because students in the classroom never really spoke English. Therefore, teachers had to teach them in their local language. Right? There are two local languages there, Khasi and Panar. Right? So those two languages were being used to teach the students inside the classroom. So what did we do? How did we, considering the learning that we had from Cipla Foundation, how do we design the program? Very interesting. Watch it. Right. The next slide is actually very interesting. So what we did was, first thing, we set up smart TVs inside the schools. Now we had an option to also set up a conventional smart classroom infrastructure inside the schools. What does the conventional smart class structure look like? It looks like a big screen, keyboard, mouse, a projector, a sound system, and all the wires to connect them. Right now, DC had said that you can, of course, I have the money, you can set up a conventional smart class system as well. But we realized that it's very important. Looking at the teachers, interviewing them, meeting them, we realize that it has to be extremely easy. Teachers have to from day one know that, oh, this is absolutely easy for me to use, right? So we brought in a bit of innovation. We said teachers anyways are using two things at home. Number one, they're using TV at home, and they're maneuvering the TV with remote control with a lot of ease. Second thing all teachers are using is an Android based smartphone, right? So they're very familiar with using a TV with remote, and they're very familiar with using Android as an operating system. So we said, let's combine the two and set up smart TVs inside the schools. Just one piece of hardware, nothing else. No wiring, no processor, no sound system, nothing else. Just one piece of hardware. Just put it in the schools, provide the solution on a pen drive, which gets stuck inside the TV, and that's it. Right. So when we went to the schools and we actually hung the smart TVs on the walls, teachers said, "That's it? Nothing else?" And we said, "Yes, nothing else. Your smart classroom is ready." That was the first wow factor that we were able to generate inside the teachers. Why? Purely by understanding the teacher psychology. Right? They were not, none of them, in fact, were comfortable using desktops. They had no aspiration to really have a desktop even at home. Right? So why would they really feel excited about using a desktop-based setup inside the schools? But TV and Android, they were very comfortable. Right? So day one, we were able to get their initial acceptance. Yeah, this looks very easy. So this does not look very intimidating to me. I should be able to use it. Right? So we were able to solve that fundamental problem. Second, because this time we are very clear that we will have to gather baseline assessment data, and we will also have to gather continuous learning data of the students. Now, how do we do that? In every class we have set up a smart TV that is supposed to be used by the teachers. So that smart TV, of course, cannot take in the data of all the students. Right? Now, what is the other way? Other way is that we ask students to a pen and paper assessment every month. Right? Now, imagine printing. There were about 5,000 children in this district, more than 5,000 in fact. Imagine printing question papers for these many students every month for different subjects, then manually evaluating them, and then digitizing those data onto Excel sheets, and then from the Excel sheets figuring out what are the learning outcomes or what is the improvement and all of that, doing all the analysis. It would have been a very time-taking, very tedious process, and perhaps even more expensive process. So what we did, again, we said, let's solve it in a very simplistic way. Let's conduct the assessments directly on the tablets. So all digital forms, right? You have no manual intervention. Tablets being handed over to the students. They do the assessment in the classroom. The data immediately syncs up, and within a minute, the analysis is ready. Right? That was the speed that we wanted to implement, and we knew that unless we're able to achieve this speed, we won't be able to show the desired outcomes. Right? So hence tablets were chosen. Now comes the problem. You have chosen tablets, right? But you cannot buy 5,000 tablets for every student, but that would have been very expensive, right? So what we did was, uh, we had a 5-member team in Meghalaya, and we said, okay, let's give 30 tablets to each of those guys, total of just 150 tablets, right? Okay, now, and these tablets will go to the schools in rotation. Students will take the assessment, data will keep sinking in, and we'll keep getting the data. right? Now, problem was, where will we keep these devices and how will we charge them every day, right? So again, the problem was solved using the charging rack, which you are seeing in the picture, right? So tablets could be comfortably placed in these charging racks, and we had kept one charging rack each in each of our team members' home, so they could come back to their home, put the devices back in the charging racks, charge them all night, and then take them to the schools the next morning. But how do they take them to the school? Uh, the picture is not included here, but what we had also done, we also built a suitcase like trolley, right? So the team members used to take out the tablets from this trolley, put it inside the suitcase, close the suitcase, and then drag it like you would drag your suitcase in an airport, right? So very, very simple. So you see, very, very simple, clean, lean model. Smart TVs in the schools, very easy to set up, very easy to maintain, very easy to use. Tablets for the assessments, again, Android, very easy for students to even use. Every child in Meghalaya is seeing or has seen is using a smartphone at home. So they were also very comfortable when we gave them the tablets. They had to just press the right answers, right? Very easy. We solved the charging problem and we solved the maneuverability problem, right? Now, the district admission has said that we want to focus only on grades 8th to 10th, and we want to give them content of math, science, and social science. We said, fine, we'll give all of this basic content. But because we knew from the very beginning, even though we had not yet done the baseline, we knew that learning gaps do exist. Hence, we even gave the content of class 6th and 7th offline, right? And to improve English and career orientation, we gave additional content around English grammar, English comprehension, English storybooks, and careers. Right? So this is how the entire program was designed. Right? Smart classroom was set up inside the schools, which was for teachers to use, and tablets were then used to conduct the uh, baseline assessment and then to conduct the monthly assessments. So you can see the pictures here. This is a smart TV setup inside the schools. The teacher is actually teaching it via the remote. And on the right, the first image on the top, you will see of that suitcase. The child is taking out tablets from that suitcase. Very, very easy and comfortable to use, and not very heavy as well. Right. So as I said, these tablets, you can see here, students are taking individual assessments on the tablets. And when we did the baseline, as unfortunate as it may sound, but it was true, over 90% of students were found to be at a grade level at least 3 to 4 grades lower, right? So here comes another challenge now. Challenge was that we knew that students are at lower learning levels, right? So there had to be a mechanism by which we can enable teachers to cover up these learning gaps in the classroom itself. How do you do that? You have very limited time. You get a 40-minute period or 30-minute period, and you get X number of periods in a week. You are in a rush to finish your syllabus. How do you really, and if I give you something additional, that if I give you additional textbook, additional content, something like this, uh, out of what you are already supposed to teach, it's very unrealistic to really assume that teachers will use the additional content or the remedial content to bridge those learning gaps. Initially, we said, can we do extra classes? But most teachers looked reluctant. Why would they really want to come and take extra classes for no extra remuneration? So there was hardly something that we could achieve. So what we did was something very interesting. We designed a bridge course, right? We designed a bridge course which clearly told the teacher that, look, if you want to start teaching class 7th algebra, for example, these are the 4 additional videos from class 6th that you must show your students. And this is one set of practice questions that you must do with your students before you start teaching them class 7th or class 8th algebra. Right? So we introduced bridge course, but interestingly, and that's where a bit of innovation comes in, we did not just keep this bridge course in a physical format. Instead, we launched the bridge course in the digital format in the application itself. Right. So what happened was that now when a teacher opened the iPrep application and they had to start teaching, say, class 8th trigonometry, it by default at there itself it showed them that before you start teaching them, these are the 3 videos to be played. This is one practice question to be done. Unless you do that, you will not be able to move to class 8th trigonometry. Right? So because we were able to make the bridge course a part of the TV itself, the teachers, we realized, started using it very, very effortlessly. Right? If you would have given them in any other format, I'm quite confident that they would not have been able to use it so effectively the way they were able to use it once the bridge course itself was made a default system inside the application itself. So good results that we were able to achieve. You can see a graph here which shows how students improved across different subjects from their baseline score to first monthly assessment to second monthly assessment. In subjects like math and science, the scores went up from just 5% to about 46%. Right. In science, the scores went from 14% to about 61%, which is the program is still ongoing, by the way, and if any one of you ever would want to go to Meghalaya and see it, you will see a very, very different picture in those schools than when we had started working about 2 years back. Right. So, based on these two stories that I just shared with you, perhaps I'll just take maybe 5 to 10 more minutes, and I would just want to summarize our learnings on how to really plan a very effective education program to bring the desired learning outcomes. Right. First thing, sometimes which we miss doing because we are in a rush to implement, is not asking the right questions. So it's very, very important to ask the right question with all the stakeholders. And sometimes it may seem very obvious that objectives to would be similar only. We want to achieve learning outcome. That's all. That's the fundamental objective with everyone. But that's not truly the case, right? If you saw the examples in our case between Cipla and Meghalaya, if we could have just outlined the objectives very clearly, the approach to program implementation actually could have been very different. Right? So even though it may seem obvious that yes, improving learning outcome is by default the objective, but if you start asking deeper questions, right, start uh, understanding the audience as well, your teachers. So speak to teachers, speak to students, speak to parents, have a multi-category stakeholder discussion with everyone involved, and you will be able to come up with very unique objectives, right, which will help you to implement the program and design the program better. Right. So first thing is speak with stakeholders, do a very thorough research with everyone who's going to be a part of the project, understand them. Right. The second point is very, very important, and second and third point are actually very interconnected with each other. Second and fourth point are actually very interconnected with each other. I'll show you is the ultimate users who are going to use your solution. It is extremely important to understand their natural psychology. In the case of Meghalaya, I gave you an example of why we went ahead with smart TVs. We could have actually gone ahead with the conventional smart class setup, but because we chose smart TV, we saw engagement. We saw very natural adoption. Teachers said, "I'm comfortable. I can use it." Right. So there was no even. In fact, there were schools where we went where we had not even done the initial training, but we saw teachers were comfortably using it. Why? Because they anyway were accustomed to using TVs at home. They were very comfortable with using Android smartphones that they had, right? So you have to understand the natural psychology of the users. Give them what they want. Give them how they are. Build a solution. Build a program which naturally aligns with their psychology, right? We gave them in both Maharashtra, in case of both Sipla as well as in Meghalaya and across everywhere we work, we always give them state board aligned content in local languages, right? So that it's very easy for them to use, right? In fact, the third point which I have mentioned here is very interesting. So when we had implemented our solution, uh, even though we had, remember I told you that in Meghalaya students English comprehension is very poor, right? But somehow when we were implementing a solution, this point got missed. So we went ahead, implemented a solution. But the DC of the Meghalaya was very sharp. He told us, Rohit, when I play the video, it plays at a certain speed, which is a natural speed, which is understood by maybe you and I. But these students are not able to understand English at a normal speed. Can you therefore reduce the speed of the way the videos are being played? Very nice and simple insight. We incorporated that, and it was very to technically implement it was very simple. We just gave them a speed change option in the video player, right? So now the teachers, whenever they felt that something complicated was being discussed, students were not able to understand it well, teachers were able to reduce the speed of the video player to 0.7x to 0.5x and comfortably play the videos in the classroom, right? So another very small example of how understanding of users or having a very sharp insight about the users can be used to design your program, right? Then even I'll give you one more example. In the application that we have, the iPrep application that we provide, we have also given them a very easy option to change grades, right? So now look at Meghalaya, right? There's a class ninth class happening on say trigonometry or any topic in science. The teacher is teaching, but teacher gets to understand that students are not able to understand very clearly, right? So what we have done is we've given the teacher, even though they may have done the bridge course, etc., but we have given the teacher still an option that you go to there's a very simple button that we have given on top of the application. Simply go there, click, change your grades, go to any grade you want to, and start teaching the content from that grade. Right. So why am I sharing this point? I'm sharing this point is because just to give you an example of how if you understand the natural psychology of the users, you can incorporate them in your program design, in your solution if you're building a tech-based solution, and then ensure that you're able to achieve natural adoption by those users. All right, third point is very important. You have to think of data from day one. If you want to talk about learning outcome, then this is not a rocket science. I'm sure all of you understand this. You have to start thinking about data from day one, right? And you have to think about a very easy access to data. If you complicate it, uh, well, then results are not guaranteed and you're not sure but which way it will go, right? So our decision to use tablets was one example where we said we want clean, rich data from day one, right? That's what tablets did. Second thing that we did as a part of our solution was zero touch syncing, which means that one, the tablets are in the hand of a team member or the TVs which are installed in the school, right? There is no dependence on anyone to really sync the reports. So all that you have to do is connect your device with the internet and all the reports auto sync. So when they auto sync on a reporting dashboard, we have access to that. The government department has access to that. They can simply log in and they can start tracking the reports continuously. Right. So again, a very small example of how if you focus on the right things, you can incorporate them as a part of our solution from the start itself. Right. Another thing which I have seen has really helped us and is a very crucial aspect is to build multiple feedback loops, right? Uh, we have of course built a feedback loop using tech. So as a part of our application, student users can simply click on a feedback button and send us their feedback. But we also built a very simple process where our team members, whenever they visit the schools, whenever they interact with the schools or other stakeholders, we have built a very robust feedback mechanism. There's a feedback form that goes out. We collect the data, analyze it, review it, and then based on that, continuously work on improving the program design as well as the way the program is implemented. Right? So this point and the point that I was talking about, the teacher or the user psychology are actually interconnected, right? If you have a solution or if you have a program which aligns with the natural psychology of the users, it will have natural adoption, and natural adoption will lead to regular usage. Without regular usage, you know, howsoever good the solution may be, but we will never be able to achieve learning outcomes, right? And how can you achieve regular usage? You can achieve regular usage if the solution is easy to set up, easy to use, and easy to maintain, right? So in case of the smart TV you saw, nothing, you have to do nothing. You just hang the smart TV on a wall. That's it. Very easy to use, very easy to set up, right? We of course, the way we have tried to make it even easier for users is that we provide a bilingual interface, so users can change their language, right? Uh, in case of Maharashtra, for example, you can choose to have your interface in English medium if you're comfortable, or even in Marathi medium. So when you switch your language, the entire interface, buttons, navigation, instruction, everything changes to your comfortable language, and hence users, without even continuous training, because they are seeing everything in their own local language, they're able to navigate through the application very, very comfortably, right? So focus on making it very easy for the users. Right? I have been a part of various programs wherein when we go and do trainings for the stakeholders, especially the teachers, we end up doing basic PowerPoint based training for the teachers, right? But what we have seen is that once you involve the teachers, right, once you do experiential training, it really leaves them with a long-term impact, and they're able to go back to the individual schools and then use it the way you would have expected them to use. So, build experiential training programs, right, and not just very theoretical PowerPoint-based training programs. The fourth point is very, very crucial, very, very important. Everybody says that we have a support mechanism, but in the edtech ecosystem, especially in the rural ecosystem, uh, majority of the support mechanisms are not able to build trust with the users, right? So it's very, very important. If you're committing to provide support to the users, provide it in a manner so that your users starts trusting you. This is one of our key differentiators, wherein we are still learning. I won't say that we are there yet, but the intention is always to build trust with our users, even though they may have a very small problem, right? Sometimes we have even gone way beyond the budget that we were given to us, but we have always ensured that we provide the right support to the users, which helps them to build trust on you. They build trust on you, they will rely on you, they will use your solution the way you would want them to use. So ensure that you build trust with the users with the support that you're providing them. Right? Uh, Especially relevant for digital learning solution, programs around digital learning. Often, when we talk about digital learning, we say that teachers are not required now, or I don't really need to depend on teacher competencies. And now I have digital learning equipped inside the schools. However good or bad teachers maybe doesn't really matter, but that's not true, right? Success of program, even in today's time, with regards to digital learning, teachers are the key. We have to understand any digital learning program or any other program that you design for government schools especially, it must empower the teachers. Otherwise you will not be able to find the success, right? It must empower the teachers, it must make their life easier for them, right? And very important point is remove any external dependency, right? If you set up something inside the school and they say, okay, it is dependent on the internet, or it is dependent on continuous electricity, right? And teachers will have to do certain things to be able to run those systems. It will not work, right? You have to We have done that. All of our solution can comfortably run offline with no internet dependence, right? Our charging rack or our integration with solar, or providing UPS, ensures that even though there may be power outage in the schools, teachers are able to use the system continuously, right? So remove any external independence and empower the teachers. uh, just last one or two points. One very, very important aspect is also to understand, which is a slightly difficult thing to actually implement inside the classrooms, is that every child is unique. Every child will have varied learning styles. I may like to learn by watching videos. Somebody else may like to learn by doing practice questions. Somebody else may like to learn by reading books. In a single classroom, you have 30 children sitting in front of you. How do you solve that problem, right? But this is a key. Unless you're able to solve this problem, you will not be able to achieve uniform learning outcomes. You may be able to achieve learning outcome in pockets. Some guys will do good, but how do you achieve how do you bring uniformity? As teachers, as solution designers, as program implementers, you have to understand that every individual student will have a varied learning style, right? We have done that in our application. In a way, we have solved that problem by providing students with multiple categories of content on the same application. So when you open an iPrep application, you will have, and you go inside a subject, you will have videos to learn, you will have books to read, you will have notes for quick revision, you will have practice questions, you will have test questions, right? So any student can create their unique learning path based on what form of content they like more, right? So maybe I'm sitting in a classroom, teacher tells me, okay, you have to revise this chapter. Now, I may confidently say that whatever teacher had taught me last time, I have completely understood. So I'll straight away go and start doing practice questions, right? Some other kid in the classroom may feel, look, I did not really understand. I want to first watch videos. So he or she can start by watching the videos. I'm doing practice. Other kid is watching the videos. Some other third kid may be watching, maybe reading the books, right? So uh, technically, we have solved this problem by providing different types of content on the same platform. But if it's a non-technical solution, then the work is slightly more, and you will have to find your own ways to understand how do we solve this issue of varied learning style in a single classroom. But it is very, very important if you want to achieve the desired learning outcomes, right? So this is where I would like to end the workshop. But before I end, I would just like to, before, if there are any questions that will come up, I would just like to take maybe 2 more minutes and just give a quick introduction about what we do at iDream Education. So our vision is to facilitate universal access to learning and growth to all learners around the country. And all learners, when I say, I also mean the last mile learners, right? These are our 5 solutions. So iPrep Digital Class is a smart classroom solution, something which we implemented in Meghalaya, where we use a smart TV or an interactive flat panel device. We give a content on an OPS machine or a pen drive. You plug it in, install the application once, and then you have access to all the digital content offline, which you can either run via remote or via touch. Then we have an iPrep Digital Library, which is a tablet or a notebook based smart ICT lab. In school, we give a charging rack like this, which you're seeing on the screen right now. And all the tablets are stored comfortably inside. They are charged from this unit itself. They have an SD card. You take out the tablets, turn them on, and the same iPrep application along with digital content is saved offline on the devices. Right? Now, very interestingly, we have this PAL application as well. It's called Personalized Adaptive Learning. It's a I would say it's a higher order version of our normal iPad application, in which what you have to do is that to study any chapter, you have to first take a diagnostic test. The diagnostic test will tell you, based on your level of learning, where you are right now, and then through a series of practice questions and remedial videos, the PAL application in a very unique way will guide the users to achieve 100% mastery in that particular chapter, right? The fourth solution we have is the iPrep learning device, which is a personalized learning device, is something which we implemented in the case of Cipla Foundation, wherein individual learning devices were given to students to be used at home. And then, post-COVID, we also realized that the dependency on devices going down. So even in rural areas, parents and households are beginning to have a device of their own, smartphones, sometimes even laptops, right? And they are looking for a very, very affordable online solution. So we also now built a mobile app and a web app, and if anybody wants to use, they can download it from Android, iOS, or they can use it on web. Right? Some data about the kind of work that we have done. We have worked in over 17 states across the country. More than 9 lakh children are using our solution. Now we have digitized more than 20,000 classrooms. Some of the key implementation that we have done is in Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP. We have worked in various smart city projects of Karnal, Moradabad, Shimla, right? And we have developed or built or delivered solutions in 150 districts in 9 languages across the country. Right. So this is it. I won't go more into it. Thank you so much for listening to me.